Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. On this channel we share practical guidance on visa processes, immigration pathways and related topics to help you make informed decisions. If you are unsure about your visa options or planning your next step, consider subscribing and enabling notifications so you stay updated with the latest developments. Before continuing, please review the legal disclaimer provided in the comment section of this video. New Zealand has just announced one of the biggest changes to its citizenship process in decades, and if you are a migrant planning to become a New Zealand citizen, this could directly affect your future. Because from late 2027, the government plans to introduce a brand new citizenship test for most people applying for citizenship by grant. And for the first time, applicants may have to sit a formal in-person exam before becoming a Kiwi citizen. And this is not just a small paperwork update. This changes the entire way New Zealand decides whether someone truly understands the rights, responsibilities, laws, and democratic values of the country before they receive a New Zealand passport. So, in this video, we are going to break down everything you need to know, including who will need to take the test, who is exempt, what kind of questions may appear, how many attempts you get, what happens if you fail, whether this makes New Zealand immigration harder, how this compares to Australia, Canada, and the UK, and why many migrants are now rushing to apply before the rules officially begin. Because there is one very important detail hidden in the government announcement that many people still do not realize. If you apply before the test becomes mandatory in 2027, you will not need to sit the test at all. That single point could completely change the citizenship strategy of thousands of migrants already living in New Zealand. So make sure you watch this entire video carefully because there are several major updates most people have missed. Right now, New Zealand citizenship by grant mainly works through a declaration system. Applicants who already meet the residency presence character and English language requirements simply sign a declaration saying they understand the responsibilities and privileges of being a New Zealand citizen. There has never been a formal written citizenship exam like Australia or the United Kingdom, but now the government says that is going to change. Internal Affairs Minister Brooke Van Velden announced that from late 2027, most applicants applying for citizenship by grant will need to pass a citizenship test in order to become New Zealand citizens. According to the Department of Internal Affairs, the purpose of the test is to ensure applicants understand the responsibilities and privileges that come with New Zealand citizenship and to strengthen what it means to become a citizen of New Zealand. Now, here is where things start getting very interesting. The government says this is technically not a brand new citizenship requirement because understanding civic responsibilities was already part of the law, but until now there was no formal test to prove it. The new exam is basically the government turning an informal declaration into a measurable assessment. And honestly, this aligns New Zealand much more closely with countries like Australia, Canada, the United Kingdom, and the United States, where citizenship tests have existed for years. Now let us talk about what the actual test may look like. According to the official government website, the proposed citizenship test will likely contain 20 multiple choice questions in English, and applicants will need to score at least 75% to pass. That means applicants will likely need at least 15 correct answers out of 20 to pass successfully. The test is expected to be conducted in person and not online. The government also says testing centers may be available throughout New Zealand and not only in major cities, although the final logistics are still being developed. And this is another major detail. The test will be in English. Now remember, New Zealand citizenship already requires sufficient English ability, but until now many applicants never had to sit a formal English-based civic exam. That means some future applicants may now face a much more structured language challenge than before. especially migrants who can function in everyday life but may struggle with formal legal or political terminology. Now, let us talk about the actual topics that may appear in the test because this is where many people are surprised. According to the government and official announcements, questions may include topics such as the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act, human rights, voting rights, democratic principles, the structure of government, the New Zealand political system, certain criminal offenses, and travel using a New Zealand passport. That means applicants may need to understand concepts like freedom of speech, equality before the law, voting systems, parliament, basic civic responsibilities, and even legal obligations within New Zealand society. And at GEMS Immigration Services, we can train and help understand these topics and get you prepared for your citizenship test well before your test date so you can confidently appear and pass the test. Minister Brooke Van Velden specifically said people seeking citizenship should understand that New Zealanders believe in rights like freedom of speech and that nobody is above the law. Now, this is where the debate begins. Some people support the idea, saying citizenship is a major privilege and new citizens should understand the country they are joining. Others argue migrants already contribute to the economy, pay taxes, raise families, and live in New Zealand for years before applying, so adding another formal barrier may create unnecessary stress and difficulty. And remember, most applicants already need to complete at least 5 years as residents before they can even apply for citizenship. In addition, applicants still need to meet presence requirements, including significant physical time spent inside New Zealand, good character requirements, and sufficient English ability. So the citizenship test is not replacing those requirements, it is being added on top of them. Now, here comes another extremely important update that many migrants may not know. The government has confirmed that people who already applied for citizenship or apply before the new test becomes mandatory in 2027 will not need to sit the exam. That is huge because this could create a massive increase in citizenship applications over the next year or two from migrants trying to avoid their future testing requirement. And honestly, that would not be surprising if you already qualify for citizenship under the current system. Many people may now decide to apply sooner rather than later, especially because future governments could potentially tighten the rules even more. Now, let us discuss who may be exempt from the test. According to the official government website, applicants may not need to sit the test if they are under 16 years old, are 65 years or older, received an English language waiver, are not of full capacity, have severe medical conditions, have special personal circumstances preventing them from completing the test, or qualify under certain overseas New Zealand related situations, such as some people connected to Niue Tokelau Cook Islands or New Zealand government service overseas. So while most migrants applying by grant will likely need the test, there will still be exemptions for vulnerable groups and special cases. Now, here is another major part of the announcement. There will probably be an additional fee every time you sit the test. The exact amount has not yet been announced, but this means citizenship could become even more expensive than it already is, especially if someone fails multiple times. And yes, the government has already explained what happens if applicants fail. If someone does not pass the first attempt, they can rebook and try again. After 3 failed attempts, they will have to wait at least 30 working days before getting another 3 attempts. And if someone still fails after 6 attempts, the government says they may be offered options, including withdrawing the application and receiving only a partial refund of the citizenship application fee. So this is not just a casual quiz. There are real financial and immigration consequences attached to it. Now, one question many migrants are asking is whether this means New Zealand is becoming less migrant friendly. The answer is more complicated. Compared with countries like Australia, the proposed New Zealand test still appears relatively moderate. Australia already has a citizenship exam with questions about values, laws, democracy, and national identity. The United Kingdom has the Life in the UK test. The United States has a civics test. Canada also has a citizenship knowledge test. So, New Zealand introducing a similar system is not globally unusual. In fact, until now, New Zealand was one of the more relaxed citizenship systems among developed Western countries because there was no formal written test. But this announcement clearly signals that the government wants citizenship to represent a deeper civic commitment rather than simply a residency milestone. And politically, this fits with a wider international trend where governments increasingly want migrants to demonstrate civic integration, knowledge, and national values before becoming citizens. Now, another interesting point is that the Department of Internal Affairs says they will release study materials and guidance before the test becomes active. That means future applicants will probably get official running resources, practice questions, and preparation support. So at least applicants should not be going into the process blindly. Still, many details remain unknown. For example, we still do not know the exact implementation date, the final exam fees, the exact wording of questions, whether translators or accessibility support will exist in some situations, how difficult the questions will actually be, how strict the in-person verification process may become, or whether future governments may expand the test further. And remember, immigration systems often evolve over time. What begins as a relatively simple civic test today could become much stricter in future years, depending on politics, migration pressures, and public opinion. So if you are already eligible for citizenship, this announcement may become a very important moment for your long-term planning because once the test officially starts, there may be additional preparation, stress, delays, and costs involved in becoming a New Zealand citizen. At the same time, for many migrants who truly live, work, contribute, and integrate into New Zealand society, this exam may not actually be very difficult. Most people who have lived in New Zealand for years already understand basic democratic principles, laws, and civic responsibilities. The bigger challenge may simply be formal testing anxiety, English comprehension, and preparation, especially for older migrants or people unfamiliar with multiple choice civic exams. But overall, this announcement marks a major turning point in New Zealand citizenship policy. For years, New Zealand citizenship was seen internationally as relatively straightforward compared with many Western countries. Now the system is moving toward a more structured model where applicants may need to formally demonstrate civic understanding before becoming citizens. And because this affects future passports, voting rights, political participation, and long-term identity in New Zealand, this change is likely going to become one of the biggest immigration discussions in the country over the next 2 years. So, what do you think? Should New Zealand require a citizenship test before granting citizenship, or should years of living, paying taxes, and contributing to society already be enough? And if you were applying for citizenship today, would you rush to apply before the new test begins in 2027? Comment below because this debate is only just getting started. And if you found this video helpful, make sure you subscribe because we'll continue covering every major immigration, visa, residency, and citizenship update affecting migrants in New Zealand and around the world as new information is officially released, so you can make informed decisions without falling into common traps. And we can assist you to simplify the entire complexity of the process and guide you from start to finish with peace of mind and in a hassle-free way. No worries. Do get in touch with us now on our WhatsApp mobile number +642217860007, also provided in the comment section of this video, and we will get in touch with you as soon as possible. Your journey deserves the right start, and it starts with the right consultation. And now you have it. Thank you for watching.